Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to sift through some really fascinating sources and pull out those insights that might just click with your own life. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a new book, Broken Branches, Unbroken Spirit by Lori L. Fuqua. And, well, everything we're seeing suggests it's much more than just a story.
That's right. And our mission here, it isn't just to, review it. We want to unpack the core themes Lori gets into, really understand her path, which is quite remarkable, and pinpoint those specific, maybe actionable insights that this very personal narrative offers. We're looking for those moments of clarity, the frameworks for healing people are talking about.
Okay, let's unpack this then. It's described as a soul-bearing testimony. It delves into healing, faith, and generational reckoning.
Yeah.
Now, soul-bearing, we hear that sometimes. What makes her testimony stand out here? What's the depth she brings?
That's a really good question because, look, lots of books claim that, right? But Lori Fuqua, she genuinely invites us into the shadows of her beginnings, and she does it with this unflinching honesty and real spiritual insight. What makes it truly soul-bearing, I think, is her willingness to name things, to explore wounds that often get buried, under family loyalty, cultural expectations. She doesn't just say trauma, she walks you through identifying its roots.
Ah, okay.
For example, this generational reckoning piece, it's not just, oh, patterns exist. No, she gives you a way to recognize how maybe inherited behaviors or unresolved stuff can show up in your life. And then crucially offers these practical faith-based steps to break those cycles. Imagine pinpointing a way you communicate or maybe a self-sabotaging thing you learned and understanding it without blame and then choosing something different. That's powerful.
So it's less about just looking back and more about actively engaging with the past to change the present. And what really struck me was her message that restoration is not always loud or linear. That feels important.
Yeah.
Different from that idea that healing is just bang, a one-time fix. What does that nonlinear restoration actually look like in her telling?
Yeah, that subtlety is absolutely key. She really challenges that neat, tidy recovery narrative. She talks about moments where she felt she'd healed from something specific, only for a trigger to pop up years later, and it required a different kind of maybe re-healing or a renewed focus on her faith.
Okay.
And this ongoing process, she argues, it's not failure, it's just a more realistic, more compassionate view of recovery, especially for deep wounds. She shows it through everyday choices, through sticking with prayer and accepting that healing happens in layers, sometimes in unexpected ways. It's about patience, Grace with yourself.
That makes it incredibly relatable.
Right.
Because that mirrors how things often are, right?
Yeah.
Navigating our own broken branches. So this isn't just her story. It acts as a kind of mirror for us. What kind of internal shifts is she hoping to spark in the reader?
Well, she doesn't just tell her story. She builds this framework for you to reflect yourself. The book is called A Mirror, a Ministry, and a Moment of Release for anyone carrying that weight of broken branches. What she encourages is a rethinking of how we see our past, not as something that just defines us, but something that through faith can actually inform and strengthen us. She nudges readers to think, okay, how might my own inherited patterns be shaping my life right now? And then gives this hope that, yeah, these patterns can be broken with intention, with spiritual help. It's like an invitation to stop just getting by and actually start thriving.
And you can see these insights are hitting home. The early feedback, the reviews, they really highlight how much her honesty and wisdom are impacting people.
Oh, definitely. The authenticity is really resonating. Like Dr. Angela Draper points out how relevant it is. She says it belongs in church circles, sister circles, and every space where women gather to seek truth, healing, and God's redemptive love. That's quite an endorsement.
Wow, yeah.
And Shonda Williamson, a publicity exec, she called it powerful, praised the raw honesty and depth, how the themes of generational trauma, forgiveness, and family hit hard, and she highlights how faith can be the key to breaking cycles and finding peace. Calls the book courageous and a testimony.
It seems like that message of not being defined by your past is really landing. There's another one, Susan B. describes it as a brave and deeply moving reflection on family complexity, loss, pain, and importantly, spirit-guided hope. She calls it an inspiring testament to resilience, forgiveness, grace, and unwavering faith. Just powerful words.
And there's even a personal touch from Alwanda Fuqua Carruthers, who's related to the author. She praises Lori's openness and vulnerability, saying, many people will be helped emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And she reiterates that core message. No matter what life brings, it does not have to define us.
So it's clear readers are finding strength in this.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to L'Oreal Fuqua herself.
Mm.
What about her journey makes her such a compelling guide through all this?
Mm.
We know her story involved real hardship.
Yes, her background is, well, it really speaks to that Unbroken Spirit title. As she shares, and it's in the about the author part, and Richard Foucault's forward too, she navigated huge complexities, a toxic marriage, really contentious legal fights, and just the massive challenge of raising kids right in the middle of all that adversity.
Right.
But what's compelling is she doesn't just list the pains, she details the how she kept her faith, her resilience through it all. She doesn't just say, I chose forgiveness. She shows the daily practice of it, even when facing, character assassination and attempts to imprison her. She saw forgiveness as like a shield for her own peace and to protect her kids.
That practical application, that's what makes it a teaching moment,
Right.
not just a story. You mentioned she also faced systemic injustices of the court system. How does she talk about overcoming that? What strategies did she use?
Yeah, that's a really crucial piece of her testimony. She frames these battles less as just, external fights she won or lost, and more as spiritual warfare. It
Yeah.
required this deep internal strength. She talks about consistently choosing forgiveness and strength over bitterness and despair. And this wasn't passive. She shares how she actively used prayer, scripture, just relying deeply on her faith to navigate legal stuff that looked impossible, stacked against her. She essentially turned these moments of, frankly, profound injustice into chances to deepen her trust in God. That's a huge lesson for anyone feeling crushed by outside pressures, how to find that internal anchor.
And it seems like that faith, that unwavering stance, eventually led her to a completely new chapter, one with real healing and joy. It moves from adversity to, well, building a life.
Exactly. And if you connect that to where she is now, it's in the foreword. The author bio, it reflects this triumph. She talks about finding immense joy and fulfillment in guiding her children. And she's started a new chapter of life, sharing her journey alongside a godly, supportive husband, Richard, and a beloved bonus daughter, Ray. And this is where her idea of a kingdom marriage comes in. She contrasts her past relationship dynamics with the very intentional choices she and Richard made, building their marriage on shared spiritual purpose, mutual respect, helping each other grow in faith. It really comes across as an example of answered prayers, but also like deliberate building.
That phrase, kingdom marriage, that adds a lot of depth. It shows how faith isn't just for individual healing, but for the very foundations of our relationships. Richard Fuqua, in that foreword, says something powerful. This book was written from lived experience, born in the quiet spaces of suffering and shaped in the presence of a loving, ever-faithful God. That really frames it as an invitation, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. An invitation to a space where healing begins and wholeness is possible. And what Lori seems to emphasize is, look, her story isn't about having it all figured out. It's about bravely stepping onto that path of faith, even when you can't see the end.
Right.
She doesn't preach at you. She shares how her relationship with God was her constant guide, helping her figure out choices, find strength when she felt weak, and ultimately find a peace that, went beyond her circumstances. It really speaks to the idea that our biggest breakthroughs can come from our deepest hurts.
Okay, so if Lori Fuqua's journey, these insights we've been discussing, if they've resonated with you listening, and you're curious about diving deeper into these frameworks for healing, for resilience, for dealing with generational stuff, then the good news is Broken Branches, Unbroken Spirit is available right now.
That's right. For anyone eager to get into this powerful testimony, it's out now in both paperback and as a Kindle ebook, ready to go.
And getting a copy is super easy. You can find it right now on Amazon.com. Simple search. And if you go for the Kindle version, remember, you don't actually need a Kindle device. You can read it instantly. Smartphone, tablet, computer, even just in your web browser. Makes it really accessible.
Oh, and here's a little tidbit we have it on good authority that an audiobook version is actually on the way.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So for those of you who prefer to listen, maybe on your commute or while you're doing other things, and absorb these insights audibly, that option is coming soon, which is great for accessibility.
Good to know. And the book is published by Faith 5 Publishing, Inc., just for anyone interested in those details.
Exactly. And one more thing for anyone who might want to connect with L'Oreal Fuqua directly. Maybe you're thinking about book signings or perhaps speaking engagements for your group or church.
Yeah.
Because her message, it clearly needs to be shared widely, right?
That's what they
She can be reached by phone at 704-899-4860 or via email. That's truehealingseries@gmail.com. And she also has a website, truehealingseries.com. Lots of ways to connect if her story really speaks to you or your community.
Okay, great info. So as we wrap up this deep dive, L'Oreal Fuqua's Broken Branches, Unbroken Spirit. It really stands out, doesn't it? It's a
Mhm.
profound testament to faith, to resilience, and, well, to God's unwavering love. Her story isn't just about getting through hard times. It feels more like a blueprint for choosing intentional healing. And it shows that even when the world tries to define us by our circumstances, by our struggles, God sees us differently, through this lens of boundless love and purpose.
Indeed. And Lori's journey, it beautifully illustrates that idea that, well, God delights to do more than we can ask or imagine when we genuinely seek Him, especially when we're in those really tough seasons. So maybe here's a thought to leave you with, or listener. What specific broken branch in your own life could it actually be leading you somewhere unexpected? Towards an unimaginable new season of growth, maybe purpose, even wholeness, if you just dared to trust that nonlinear path of restoration she talks about. Something to ponder.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We really encourage you to explore